Hey, y'all, we are about to hear from Mary Hartwell, who is a governance and AI expert. Has been working in Fortune 500 companies for a very long time. We don't need to get into exactly how long that is, but I've been working in it since the 1900s. And anyway, Mary, welcome. And can I just ask you how you got into data?
So, interestingly enough, I was working at an organization who was embarking on an ERP transformation, implementing SAP, and they put me into the project as part of the data SME for
Okay.
the customer service side of things, right? And then as they were getting ready to go live, it became apparent they didn't have anyone to really own the data space, right?
Right.
So, as often happens, it was seen as an IT driven effort. And so they asked me to move into the IT organization and spearhead data. So I said, sure. My first response was, I'm not a technical person. Is this really a good move? If I'm willing
Mhm.
to learn, I have a really strong technical acumen. So I think this will be okay for me. Right. So I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and to SAP's location there and took a lot of courses in configuration, which
Okay.
was really helpful, right? So I learned every module from a configuration perspective from the data side, learning where the key touch points were, where it, how it worked, how it functioned, how it integrated, and started learning how to do things like, writing data reports or trying to figure out workflows in the system, stuff like that, and started learning to define governance outside of having an application that did governance. So I became sort of an accidental data expert, and it's just really become very important to me. And I've grown over the years to understand more and more from the functional and the technical side and how they complement each other, and what's so important, about understanding who owns the data, what the purpose of it is, how it's used, where it's used, etc. So there you go.
Oh, very, very good. I've yet to have somebody answer. Well, as a kid, I just dreamed about being.
Right. Right. I said I was so young and was trying to figure
I-
out
I-
things.
it's funny because it's always kind of a one-off story about how we collectively have gotten into data.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't mean to get into data, but once I did, I couldn't get out.
Right.
And I actually enjoy it because there are big issues that big companies face, and they just need help. And so I enjoy helping
Yeah.
people, and so the data space has been my place to serve, and I know that's been the same for you. And
Yes.
so at I, we're going to get to something that's very passionate about you really quick, which is governance and AI. But to set the
Yep.
table for the governance and AI, tell me a little bit about what data governance is and some of the key aspects of that for an organization to kind of level set folks. So when we get to talking about AI, they just have the foundation for what is data governance when we talk about it in an enterprise data system or level.
Sure. And I think that's great that you're asking that, because data governance and AI governance are not the same thing, right? And
Yes.
just because they say governance, and data governance is really about understanding how to own the data and master the data, right? It's about who owns it, who's responsible for it, who can make decisions around it, building trusted data so that the organizations can make decisions off of the data
Mhm.
that's in their system, right? And it's often, I wouldn't say it's overlooked, but it often becomes more of a restriction, right?
Mhm.
So I think people see data governance as, and think government, right? What's regulatory and what's holding them from being able to get something in the system very quickly. They have to jump through hurdles. but it's really genuinely about building trusted data in an organization's system, in their ecosystem, so that a company can make really important valued decisions and feel confident about that.
Gotcha. So I'm interested in your best guess here. So not gonna can't hold you to it, but how many Fortune
Oh gosh.
1000, right? How many Fortune 1000 companies would you off the cuff say have a governance program that would rate 4 stars or better in your mind?
None. 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 Yeah.
Okay, so that's my experience, but,
Yeah.
you know, and in a way, we all live in an island when it comes to our experiences, right? And so
Yeah.
I love getting validated. Or that
Me
my
too.
right? That my thoughts and my experiences are not as limited as I think that they are, because
Yeah.
I keep walking into what I would what are considered and are amazing companies, and for, the products that they make and the brands that they have. But when I get to the data and look
Yeah.
at either the way they're migrating the data, the way they're governing the data, the way they are or not using AI, my head explodes, and I'm like, how how are you here? Like how
Right. How are you functioning, right?
Yes,
How are
yes.
you putting together accurate profit and loss statements, right?
Mhm,
Like that's
mhm.
the kind of stuff that goes through my brain every day too. How do you know that what you're looking at is real? Right?
Yes.
And that you've captured everything. I 100% align with that.
Wow.
And anyone in the data space that's been doing it for any amount of time, you go into, whether you work for a system integrator or yourself or whatever, you brought into these organizations to partner with the clients, and you start going through the exercises of let's identify ownership, who's the primary, secondary, tertiary, and they look at you like, well, we're expecting you to tell us that. And
S so
every time.
yeah, so if you saw me look away, I was taking a note because I was gonna come back to you on ownership. This is, like, probably the single biggest issue I have in working with companies, whether it's a migration, a governance. I'm like, "Let's define who owns what."
Yes.
Right? I might as well
Yes.
just have thrown a grenade, and because I was hoping to, get all of your secret sauces, like, "This is how you get ownership." And I'm
Yeah.
like, because it's like playing hot potato, right?
Yeah. And
Right?
it's worse now, right? It's worse
Okay.
now that we're bringing AI into it,
Okay.
right? So if you don't have defined ownership and governed data, you're expecting now AI to make decisions off of that same data that
Yes,
you were
yes.
asking people to make
Mhm,
decisions off
mhm.
of, and expecting it to give you output that you're going to potentially run your company off of, right? And I recently posted something, and it was funny because AI generated a headshot of me with three arms, right? And it made me think about, like, hold on, this is exactly what I've been trying to say to people, right?
Yes.
If it's hallucinating, which is what the third arm was, right?
Right.
That same thing's happening in organizations today. There's numbers being added to spreadsheets, right?
Mhm, mhm.
There are fact sources that are being made up, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
this information's being spout out and given to people as if it's real fact.
Yeah.
I've seen I've seen people put presentations together and left their prompts in them and didn't
Yeah.
fact check, and
Yes.
the client said, first off, that person doesn't work for our company anymore and hasn't for 10 years. Second of all, you left your AI prompt in there,
Oh,
right? And
no. Oh,
thirdly,
no.
we don't own that company anymore that you've cited as part of our business, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
if we're expecting AI to know this, right? It
Mhm.
can't, right? It's
It's
only
it.
as good
Yeah.
as what it's being fed, right? And
Yes.
AI needs care and feeding, just like people need care and feeding, right? So,
It's
you know,
crazy.
it's mind boggling to me. And
What's
then, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, no, no. One of the crazy things to me, so the old school, right? So, like if you're writing SQL, you're writing C sharp, you're writing whatever, basic. If you had
Right.
an error, it would throw an error and say, I
Yes.
can't do that or I'm broken.
Right.
Not AI. AI is
No.
like, just put the third arm in there. That
Yeah.
just stick the yeah.
Exactly. Let's go
Yeah.
around it and we'll put in. And this is what you get,
Yeah,
right?
and you get the green light. It's like, we're good.
Yes.
And it just you just move on. And so yeah, yeah.
That
The
disclaimer at the bottom that says AI can make mistakes, check its work.
yeah. Now
There's
it's on
that.
you. It's back at it. Back
Yeah,
back
it's
back to
bad.
back to ownership.
But
Yeah, yeah.
again,
No,
if
absolutely.
it's in the context of a business and somebody's not double checking that work because
Mhm.
we're making the assumption that what we've used is good enough or good, and it's never going to be good enough when it comes to this, right? And it's always evolving and it's scaling so rapidly that, again, without AI governance around the models, you don't know what kind of changes are happening
No.
within the system,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So if
That's
there
right.
is no, updates that are occurring and that are being monitored, there's no guardrails around that, we're just letting it happen, right? The repeated patterns, that kind of thing. Are we checking those? Are we, who's minding the farm, as I said in my, and I think because, I grew up in rural Pennsylvania, that's just kind of like, I
Mhm.
think in those terms, right? And it just is, it's a little bit scary, right? To think that
Sure.
this is what we're evolving into. It's scarier to think that we're witnessing the knowledge layer being ushered out the door, right?
Mhm.
So who is checking this? And the people that are left behind, who's managing them and how they're
Yes.
using this? It's not, AI is not software, right? And that's what it just is amazing to me, right? When you want to buy something at an organization, you want to buy software, right? You have
Right,
to go through
right.
a vetting process, right? You have to go through
Sure.
procurement, you have to go through all of that, right? All that gating. This is not the same thing, right?
Mm-mm.
and
Mm-mm.
and there's nothing, this is that, maybe that's a bold statement, right? All encompassing, nothing, but most organizations also aren't aware of what some of their employees are using
Yeah.
and how they're taking the data and they're putting it into a chat GPT, just say, or something else, right?
Sure.
And
Sure.
they're sending it to themselves and they're using software and building things that have client data in it, right? then
Yeah.
then you have sanctioned, and then you have shadow AI, right? And sanction just means that your procurement department signed off on it, right? And it went through the vetting process. It doesn't mean there's governance around it.
Sure.
Those are two different things, right? So there's this, it's like the Wild West, as everyone would say, in context, right?
Yeah.
Things are,
Yes.
things are just all over the place right now. So
Gotcha.
it's
Gotcha.
people like you and I that are shedding the light on it, right? So
Yes.
I think it's an extremely pertinent and important topic that we need to really get our arms around and really start setting the standards, start defining what is right, and
Yes.
what should and shouldn't be done. And there are there are governmental organizations that are looking on this, but it's
Mhm.
so, like I said before, things are evolving so rapidly.
Yes.
What's happening to all the people that are already doing and all the information and all our data that's potentially out there floating around, right? How are
Yes.
we going to manage that?
No, no,
So,
that's yeah, for sure. So one of the, and if you get on LinkedIn, everybody's talking about governance and AI. Everybody's talking about AI and data. What do you think the enterprise executive really wants, or do you think they even know what they want when they're asking this question? What am I going to do with AI?
Yeah,
I'm
no, I
dying
don't.
to hear your.
Yeah, no, I honestly don't think, I don't think people actually understand it, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, it's such a broad term when you say we're using AI or we want to use AI for efficiency,
Hmm.
telling their organization start using AI. It's so generic. And I think
Yes.
really that's because the general population doesn't really understand what it is, right?
Right.
And
Yes.
how to use it, and doesn't really get. I don't think, if you use the term open source, I
Hmm.
don't think people understand what that means. And I think it's like how people use Facebook, right? Or Instagram. They learn how to use it for a specific reason, but there's always much more to it than just the little part that they understand. The same thing with chat gpt, people use
Hmm.
it to change the color of their front door, right? And they upload their photos in there. They don't understand that everything that they're putting in there then is out there, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So I think it's a twofold thing, right? We're talking about governing it, but we also need to be educators.
Hmm.
When we walk in there and an executive says, hey, we really want to we want to deploy AI.
Yes.
What do we do? What are our steps, right?
Sure.
And it's going to be frustrating, I think, for them because I think everybody, this from doing data, right? People
Yes.
think everything's plug and play, right?
Yeah.
So when you did data
Yeah.
migrations, they thought you could
Yeah.
just come
Yeah.
in,
It's just data.
attach to our
Yeah.
systems, pull
Just
it all
load
in,
it. Yeah. Load it.
right? Magically work, right? Yeah. So I
Yes.
think it's the same scenario with AI. It's going to just be like one of those things where we have to spend time educating. And if we don't start educating now, people are going to just start taking off, and there's going to be a whole lot of cleanup, and there's going to be a lot of cleanup crews out there just waiting for that to happen. And we talked about the AI bubble. That's
Hmm.
most certainly coming down
Gonna
the
pop.
ways. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. So one of the things that I think that a lot of executives are looking for is the magic wand to fix
Oh, yeah.
age old data problems, right?
Yeah.
It's they know they have ownership issues, they know they have process issues, they know that they
Yep.
have no clear accountability and governance, and they're looking for the magic bullet, the magic wand, whatever you want to call it,
Yep.
to fix that.
Yep.
And and they haven't even, I mean, I use AI for a lot of stuff, right? But
Yeah.
there's stuff that I don't use it for and that it can't do. Well, one of the things that
Yeah.
I've definitely come to an understanding of is that if I can't clearly articulate the outcome that I want, AI has zero chance of getting to that outcome, right? Because I haven't, right?
Absolutely.
And so
Yeah.
and I'm actually finding that I'm becoming a much better leader and communicator by using AI,
Yes.
because I'm
Yeah.
finding the holes in what I think I want, right?
Yeah.
I'll say something and or give a prompt, and I'll get this, 3-armed person or whatever, and it's and,
Right. Well,
but
bad prompts have been good people, right?
when bad prompts happen to good people,
Yeah.
and I can't even remember the discipline that I was in coaching just recently, but somebody was talking about good and bad, and I think it was good data and bad data, and the realization was had that part of the conversation and part of what was happening is people wanted good data, but didn't they had no um, definition of
Right.
what of
Right.
of what good data is, right? So
Yeah.
they did not have standards, they did not have um, processes and
Right.
governed processes and standards
Right.
and data quality reporting to be able to say good or bad. So
Yeah.
it's very very interesting, the conversations that I'm having,
Yeah.
where it's like, if we don't fix, and not that you can't use AI now, because I think you can use
Yeah.
AI to help you accelerate working on the
Yes.
stuff you should have been working on for the last 20 years.
Yes.
Right. So
Right.
if you're really ready to start doing data cleansing, ready to do, process
Yeah.
improvement, ready to, work through ownership, find out what your critical data elements are, even ask it like how to write SAP queries so you can get good. Like, I
Yeah.
think you can use AI
Absolutely.
to do all of that,
Right.
but you are going to have to, at least in my mind, those fundamentals, those blocking and tackling fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
You,
I mean,
you
think about
there,
like SAP specifically, right? The number of
sure,
attributes that are in the system. Some of those,
mind-boggling.
yeah, but some of those you could easily put some kind of parameter around without
Yes,
having to speak to somebody in the business, right?
sure.
But there are some that we know every company
Mhm,
we've ever worked for
mhm.
uses it in a specific way, or you
Yes,
think hierarchies, right? There's meaning and definition, and there's always going to be some way where one client uses something one way and one client uses it the other. And
yes.
the misconception that AI is going to do the job of a person who knows how that functions
Mhm.
is what we're going to run into constantly, right? There, and people
Yes.
aren't going to see their return on investment using AI like they thought they were going to, right?
Right.
They thought
Yes.
by replacing a person that did that with AI capabilities prematurely
Yes.
is going to cost money, and it's going to cost them, in some situations it could cost people their reputation, their credibility, right? Because
Yes.
they are going to put something out the door that won't get caught, right? Or not be able to get something on that truck because, the guy that everybody always talks about in every implementation we've been involved in that works in the warehouse, sits in the corner and knows that specific information, right? He's no longer
Yes.
with the company, right? So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it's a whole new way of managing things, but we have to recognize that there's a foundation that needs to be built here. it's
Mhm.
it's not flicking a switch, it's not just plugging something in. And data governance isn't going away. You
Mm-mm.
still need data integrity. You still need good data quality. You need to partner with people that can help you get your data quality where it needs to be. You need to also be very careful of not listening to someone at maybe a large organization who's coming in to help you
Mhm.
say, we
Mhm.
got this, we can do
Yeah.
this, right? And
Yes. Yes.
pushing everything back on you again, right? And you're
It's so
you're right back where
crazy.
you were a
Yes.
year ago, 2 years ago. And I will say the world as we knew it a
Mhm.
year ago doesn't exist anymore,
No, no, no.
right?
Yes.
It's like you went to sleep one night when you woke up. It wasn't Christmas morning when we woke up, right? It was like the entire world shifted,
It did.
right? And everyone
Yes.
just decided things were going to start operating a certain way. And then now I'm slowly but surely seeing decisions
Mhm.
being reversed and
Yes.
ramifications being, people are being outed, right? Like organizations cannot think that their entire, department of some sort can be replaced by AI chatbots, right? So,
So
and we
so
all
wild.
know,
So wild.
I like to use a specific utility company who
Mhm.
provides me with good TV. And I like to say, like, it's probably the most frustrating thing trying to deal with
Mhm.
them when you have to get through the AI chatbot and the automated systems and never ever resolve what it is that you need.
Yeah.
And if I
And
can
like
ask one more
customer service rep.
time,
Customer
exactly,
service rep.
right, exactly. So it's
Uh,
it's it's very
so
interesting to
cool.
me. And
Yeah.
then once we do come to, like, things will settle, the dust will settle, right? And
Yes.
we're going to have a different type of workforce and a different
Mhm.
way of working, right? And
Yeah.
we'll get there, right? It's all an evolution. And But my fear is we're going to have a sort of revolution of all those experienced resources who
Yes.
were, told, okay, see ya. And they go out either, figuring out their own way or they go to
Hmm.
work for somebody else. And, you know, it's going to be a different way of getting to good again, right? So because
Yes.
you're going to be
Hmm.
training a whole layer of slightly experienced or inexperienced resources
Yeah.
to get them to where you had mentoring and coaching of really experienced people who've seen things. That sounds really dramatic. I've seen things,
No.
but I've
Yeah.
seen some
No.
things, right? Yeah,
Yes.
just like,
Yeah.
you and I talked, right? You walk into an organization and you're like, how are you functioning, right, with the data that you have? And,
Yeah.
and it really is gonna, it's almost gonna flip back to that, in my opinion. Maybe
Sure.
not as bad as in the past, but we'll
Mm.
get there. But we definitely, there's a lot of regulatory things coming down the pike very quickly
Wow.
that could really cause a lot of problems for people. And there's things that exist out there, like with GDPR. It's not new, but with the usage of AI, that's going to start to become another problem that's going to need to be fixed, right?
Sure.
They're going to start getting fined and highlighted. The Federal Trade Commission is going to start saying, hold on a second. Regulations are going to start flying down the pike, just like the banks have to deal with,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
it's going to become quite interesting very quickly. And if people aren't
It is.
prepared, yeah,
Yes.
exciting and scary all at the same time, right?
It is. It is. Your points are coming back to one of my theses right now is that every data problem can be traced back to leadership. And I'd like your thoughts
Absolutely.
on that. If you
Yeah.
see that and agree with that, or am I
Yeah.
just
I, I
making
think
that
I
up?
think we touched on that, right? So, executive sponsorship is
Hmm.
in, I joke and say tail as old as technology, data and executive sponsorship or lack thereof, right?
Yes.
It's always a disconnect, right? And,
Yes.
there is, I would always go on to projects and advocate for data is an enabler. It's an enabling team, but it's a team, right?
Hmm.
It's not just some function that's off to the side and a necessary evil, right? There needs to be a an owner of that team and they need to have representation in every meeting and there needs to be somebody who actually feels, touches and understands the data, right?
Yes.
But it's a battle in every time you walk in the door somewhere. And it would be really refreshing, I think is a good way to put it, if you walked in the door somewhere and, an executive sponsor said, we know data is the most important thing, and actually
Yes.
understood, because I've had people say that, but they just don't understand what that actually means and what kind of investment that actually takes,
Right.
not just
Yes.
monetarily, but
Yes.
people investment, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
a lot of the executives didn't come from the data world, right? So
right,
they've not done, they weren't a data steward, or
right,
they weren't on the new product introduction team or on a data migration. Um,
right,
you know, some of the people that have paid attention are executives that have heard the war stories
right.
of other bleeding executives. The challenge that they have is all they know is there's a problem, but they don't really know what to do about it.
Yeah,
And they're this is why I keep trying to talk more and more to young people, and why I'm passionate about investing in the next generation, because there
yeah,
needs to be the next you've talked about it a little bit, but the next group of people that understand well the intricacies of data governance, data
yeah,
quality, and can bridge the gap between IT and the the steering committee.
Yeah.
Right? Because what tends to happen, I think, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too, is the technical people walk in and the executives' eyes just they're lost already because they
Yeah.
can't bring it to a business level or an understanding
Right.
that they can really understand. And so I've
Yeah.
worked with one executive that came from he and I worked together on a data migration many moons ago. He worked his way up through the corporation and became a vice president. He understood the effort, he understood,
Yeah.
and he did very well running teams and ERP migrations. But yes, and that another question for you. So I recently talked to a cohort at the SAP Sapphire conference, and he told me this, and it absolutely resonated with me. He goes, nobody cares about data quality because they're just going to do it in a firefighting mode. They always have, they always will. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, what you just said, I feel it because I see
Yes.
it. But how did
Yes.
because I came, so my first job in the SAP world is I was an SAP plant maintenance functional consultant. And in that world, there is a 10x difference in cost between reactive maintenance and
Yeah.
preventative maintenance,
Yeah.
right? So
Absolutely.
do you change the oil or do you replace the engine?
Yeah.
And what's shocking to me is the amount of corporations that are good with just changing the engine.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
your experience? Is
Well, it's funny because I have been preaching very recently, when you're doing a migration
hmm
and you're cleaning your data for that purpose, right? In parallel, you should be doing governance setup, right? That's your
yes,
foundation being built so
yes,
that when you go live, you're sustaining that. Why do you want to keep reinvesting in the same efforts? It makes
yes,
no sense, right?
yes.
Because day one, when you turn on that system, your data integrity goes downhill if you don't have processes in place.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
No.
Preaching that and getting people on board with that because like you said, it's like people that go to the low cost stores and buy inexpensive versions of things knowing they're going to break because at that
Yes.
moment in time they have that much money to buy that, and it's in their mind rebuying that at
hmm
$2
Yes.
10 times makes more
Uh,
sense. It's the
yes.
mentality they have, and
hmm
we I think culturally tend to have that disposable mindset in
Yes.
general.
Yeah.
And so when you can articulate to clients that you're going to invest, it's going to seem like a lot more than what you think you need to at
Right.
this moment in time. But in the long run, you're actually saving money, right? And
Yes.
you're just doing the sustainment, the maintenance that's needed. You have the proper controls in place, the proper processes in place. And when you can tie it back to true business outcomes and ROI, which is really
hmm
hard to do with
hmm
data,
It
right? It's
is. It
really hard
is.
to do,
It is.
right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
if you go in with that mindset and you're presenting it in that way, it's it's never an easy sell, but
No.
it's
No.
it's just educating, right? And
It
it's
is.
funny because you think like regulated industries like pharma, right?
Yeah.
Nuclear, whatever you would think, right? That's
Yes.
like the mindset, right? But
Yes. No.
yeah,
No.
it's not
Eh,
always that way, right?
No. And what kills me is, and I liken it a little bit to, especially the educational part.
Yeah.
Most everybody knows that if you eat right and work out, you can
Yes.
you
Yeah.
can expect a certain result.
Yes.
But getting people, getting folks to eat right
Yeah.
and work out, even
Yeah.
with all the knowledge on
Yes,
Instagram,
yes.
YouTube, all the evidence of people that are ripped and stoked,
Yes, yeah.
you still
It's the
can't get it.
discipline, it's the
It's the
discipline.
discipline. It is. It is.
Yeah, and
It's
not
the
that
discipline.
I'm not guilty of that in some
Oh no,
situations, right?
I get it.
But it's you have to be dedicated, committed, and be disciplined,
Mm-hmm.
and no one and that's why I think governance, just even the thought of putting any kind of regulations or parameters around things makes people cringe, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
they feel controlled. They feel like
Yes.
they have to do
Mm.
something a
Mm-hmm.
certain way, and it it's very off-putting to people. And it's not, from my perspective, AI, it's not a choice, right?
Yeah.
It's not it If we don't do that, there's going to be chaos, right? So,
Yes.
and I personally don't want, I have to be very conscious, like you said, using AI tools, like making sure I have my settings so I'm not showing up on someone's Google search, right?
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
No.
Right.
No.
I mean, if you
Exactly.
want to Google me and find something good, that's great, but like not what I'm working on and my
Sure.
thoughts and whatnot,
Yes.
right? But
Yes.
again, I don't think people know that that's a possibility, right?
For sure. For
And
sure.
then
But
and then people who that are dedicating their careers to AI, or they're forming AI departments in
mm-hmm.
organizations, and they're spearheading that, and they're talking about their AI strategies,
Yeah.
and yet you don't see anything about governance in it, right? And you're
No.
like, wait a
That's
minute,
yes. No, that's
yeah,
not that's yeah, that's not the golden apple anymore.
right,
Governed
right.
but I was that's what I want to ask you. So, what's your most compelling story or sell or guilt trip to try to get people to do governance?
I
Like that
don't know
you
if
find
I well, I think it always it's obviously situational. It's whoever you're
okay.
talking to, but from my perspective, if I'm working with a client, it's really coming in the door and doing any type of assessment,
Mhm.
immediate eye roll, right? Like, we know we
Okay.
have a problem. We know we're immature when it comes to data governance. We know we're
Okay.
not good. Tell us how we can fix this. We know our quality of our data is bad. That's why we're calling you in to help us and give us direction. Or, we don't even know where to start with AI.
Okay.
What do we do? And, I'm always, if you can tie it to some, like I said before, find a true business outcome. What is their problem that they're trying to fix, right?
Okay.
Get that out of the conversations early, tying it to a true business outcome that's going to show them true returns on their investments. And right now, my scared straight is really around all of the regulatory acts that are coming
Okay.
out that is going
Okay.
to debilitate their business, right?
Yeah.
So if you are going to start getting enormous fines because you're not meeting the requirements that are being put forth, what are you going to do? Right? You're going to
Yes.
lose money out of the gate. And if you are going to start having clients question your credibility because their data is being used to train your models, and you don't have any
Mhm.
governance around your models, and it's
Mhm.
not staying
Mhm.
in house, right? Those are the things that, to me, I highlight. And
Okay.
I really think that companies really need to be aware of, it's, again, trying to get efficiency and cost reduction without thinking about the consequences of that, like the cost in the long run, just like we were just talking about with
Yes.
data, right? You're going to pay, whether you pay up front and you put
Yes.
the effort in and you do it right the first time.
Mhm.
It's just how you end up paying, right? Is you're going to
Sure.
get either fines, or you're going to end up with a loss of clients or client credibility because
Mhm.
you're out there using their data to run your business basically and train your AI models internally. And why would anybody risk their information unknowingly, right? So those are my compelling events to people.
Okay.
I think that the other thing is really making people aware of how the importance of preserving institutional knowledge, right?
Mm.
You're
Yes.
not thinking about what you've just let go and what
Yes.
walked out that door, because
Wow.
you and I both know nobody is great at documenting things.
Mm-mm.
You know, when you walk in the door for any ERP transformation and you ask for business processes, define your
Yes.
business process, and they're like, again, we thought you
Yes.
would do that. Right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I say, no, don't
Yeah.
you have an
Yeah.
SOP? Like, don't you have anything
Yeah.
documented
Yeah.
on how you did things? So how are you going to
Mhm.
continue to do business
Right.
faster using AI if you don't even know how you did it in the first place? So this is actually a really good opportunity that AI brings to the table, right? You need to do it, and you need to start getting that foundation in place. And if not now,
Yes.
when? Right?
Right.
When you get slammed with a $1 billion fine, right? Or more, right?
Yes.
So yeah,
No, no, that's so good. One of the things that I want to really make sure is to make sure that people understand exactly what you do and
yeah,
how to get a hold of you
sure,
if they want to use your services. So can you just explain
absolutely.
like, hey, you call me
Sure.
when, and here's how you get a hold of me.
I would prefer that people called me before they start things, when they are in the beginning, when they want to know what's the right way to start our AI journey, right? What do I need to do around data governance and data integrity, data quality to get ready for that? And then as we're moving on the AI journey, I cannot stress enough organizational change management.
Mm,
And I'm not talking the people that send out the notifications that we're on a new project and here's really pretty pictures. I'm talking about true organizational change management professionals that can
mhm.
come in and help you start the journey with your organization, help you understand where your gaps, weaknesses are, help you identify the roles and responsibilities that need to be put into play. People can reach out to me. Obviously, people can find me on LinkedIn. They can email
Okay.
me. They can find me. I have a website out there that's like, reach out to me and I'll come and, talk to you. I'm happy to come into organizations and really just talk about, have a session with people and advise, and from an advisory perspective. Here's the 5 things that you need to be asking yourself right now before you even start an AI journey.
Good.
Have you even met this minimum criteria before you even start? Are you prepared that once you unleash the Kraken, right, that
Yeah.
you're able to really control that beast, right? And do
Yes.
you even know what's happening in your organization, right?
Yeah.
Because I think I've heard it more than one time. We've just told our people to go out there and start using AI, a
Yes.
blanket statement. What does that mean? Right? Do you
Yes.
even know
Right.
what you're actually telling your organization to
Yes.
do? Right?
Yeah.
And what the consequences of that are. But, um, I'll be happy to share any, contact information. But the easiest way is to reach out to me, and I'm happy to have a conversation. I'm happy to connect with anybody, whether it's they want to engage my services, if they want to have a conversation. I've been encouraging people who have been laid off recently from their roles,
Mhm.
experienced people. I love to have conversations with them, just like you and I are having conversations. I'm
Yes.
saying, just reach out to me. We can, you can complain to me and you can tell me about your journey, and let's figure out what's great next steps for you as well, because I think there's a lot of people out there that have a lot to give and a lot of knowledge that's really pertinent for AI in all different facets, right? So I think it would be really great to start hearing from and connecting with people. And, my series that's out on LinkedIn, the Who's Minding the, I mean, those are really great perspectives on how I'm really thinking about AI and the gaps that I'm seeing in organizations and where people should start thinking about holes that they need to plug. I just started putting those out there. So I would love to hear from people. I think a lot of people will see things out online and they read them, they think it's great, but they don't engage. I would really love for people, because that's how we all grow, right? We
Yes.
feed off of each
Yes.
other's perspectives, right? And
That's right.
things that you might have thought of, although I think you and I have had very, very similar experiences over our careers, right? But somebody coming, I thought it was great when you were talking about plant maintenance, and the
Mhm.
intricacies that happen around that perspective is completely different from somebody who's worked in the OCM or the sales and distribution. And I love to
Yes.
hear people coming from those different angles because, again, you and I know we get kind of stuck in these areas
Yeah.
when we're on projects and it becomes our wheelhouse unexpectedly a lot of times, right?
Yes.
And we
Yes.
just kind of take that and grow on it. And so I love to hear from people, technical, functional, whatever. And I'd love to hear from people who are in industry that are trying to deploy AI right now and what they're running into and the problems that they're seeing, that how that we can jump in and help or give advice around that as well.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah,
Well, Mary, I want to thank you for
of
joining me in
course.
just a great conversation. You are the first in this podcast series, and I'm hoping to
Oh,
have many,
great.
many, many, many more. But it's exactly this type of conversation. I think it's helpful to me, very helpful to me, and I know it will be
Yeah.
helpful to others who are on a governance journey, an AI data journey, you know, and I've very much enjoyed our conversation and thank you for joining.
Oh, same. I appreciate it.